Welcome to Mythology Matters, where ancient narratives unfold a profound connection between history, mythology, and theology. Divination, central to many cultures, from Norse mythology to ancient China. What if the future was never truly hidden, only waiting to be interpreted? Across time and civilizations, from the rune-casting seers of Norse mythology to the philosophical wisdom of ancient China, I Ching, definitions has shaped decisions, guided readers, and revealed humanity's deepest fear and hopes. In this exploration, we uncover how different cultures thought meaning is unknown, and why these practices still resonate today. If you are fascinated by mystery, history, and unseen forces that shape our world, you are in the right place. Thank you for watching and joining this journey into the art of divination. Please, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. You have become part of my family. Wow, thank you for watching. Let us dive in. Chapter 1. Reading the unseen. Divination as a universal language of power and uncertainty. Definition or divination begins where certainty ends. Long before science, before formal philosophy, before written law, humans faced a world that felt alive, unpredictable, and often hostile. Storms came without warning. Crops failed without explanation. Illness struck without visible cause. In that uncertainty, division emerged not merely as superstition, but as a structured attempt to interpret reality itself. As its core, divination is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future, the unknown, or the hidden through symbolic systems. But this definition barely scratches the surface across cultures. Divination was never just about predicting events. It was about negotiating with fate, interpreting divine will, and perhaps most importantly, creating a sense of control in a chaotic universe. In many ways, divination represents one of humanity's earliest intellectual technologies, a system for pattern recognition, symbolic reasoning, and decision-making under uncertainty. The psychological roots of divination. To understand why divination appears across nearly every culture, we must first examine the human mind. Humans are pattern-seeking beings. Faced with randomness, we instinctively impose meaning. This cognitive tendency, often called apophenia, allows us to detect threats, anticipate outcomes, and construct narratives. Divination formalizes this instinct. Instead of random interpretation, cultures developed structured systems, casting lots, reading entrails, interpreting dreams, observing celestial movements. This system created rules, symbols, and rituals that transformed uncertainty into something legible. The question was never simply, what will happen? It was, what does the universe want me to understand? This shift from prediction to interpretation is what gives divination its enduring power. Divination as communication with the divine. In many traditions, divination was not seen as shaman guesswork, but as communication with higher forces, gods, spirits, ancestors, or cosmic principles. The diviner did not invent meaning, they received it. This is particularly evident in ancient societies where the boundary between a religion and daily life was near non-existent. Political decisions, warfare strategies, agricultural planning all could depend on divinatory practices. The act of divination, therefore, carried authority. It legitimized action. It transformed human decision into expressions of divine will. And this is where divination becomes dangerous. Because when interpretation becomes authority, the interpreters becomes powerful. Norse divination. Fate, runes, and the shadow of Ragnarok. In Norse culture, divination was deeply intertwined with the concept of fate, wild, a force even the gods could not fully escape. Unlike systems that sought to avoid destiny, Norse divination often aimed to understand and confront it. One of the primary tools of Norse divination was the use of runes. These symbols carved into wood stone or bone were far more than alphabet. I say these symbols carved into wood, stones, or bone were far more than an alphabet. Each rune carried layered meaning, cosmic, spiritual, and practical. Casting runes was not simply reading symbols. It was engaging with the underlying structure of reality. A rune drawn might represent not just an event, but a force at work. Growth, destruction, transformation, inevitability. In Norse myth, even the chief god sought knowledge through sacrifice. Wisdom was not freely given. It had to be earned, often through suffering. This idea shaped Norse divination profoundly. It was not a passive act, but an active confrontation with truth. The future in this worldview was not something to escape. It was something to face with clarity and courage. This creates a striking contrast with later systems of divination that focus more on control or avoidance. Norse divination accepts that some outcomes cannot be changed, but they can be understood, and understanding in itself is power. Shamanic traditions. Entering the spirit world. Across many other cultures, including those in Northern Europe, Central Asia, and parts of Africa, divination was often performed by shamans. Unlike structured systems like rune casting or oracle constructions, shamanic divination involved the altered state of consciousness through drumming, chanting, fasting, or the use of natural substances. The shaman would enter a trance. In this state, they were believed to travel beyond the physical world. They might speak with ancestors, negotiate with spirits, or retrieve knowledge hidden from ordinary perception. Here, divination becomes experiential rather than symbolic. The answer is not read. it is encountered. This approach highlights a different philosophy that knowledge is not always encoded in signs. It may exist in realms inaccessible to ordinary awareness. The shaman becomes a bridge between worlds, and in doing so, they embody a dangerous role. The mediator between human and non-human intelligence, ancient China, order, harmony, and the logic of the cosmos divination embraces faith and shamanic traditions, explore altered reality. Ancient Chinese divination presents something entirely different. A system rooted in order, balance, and cosmic harmony. At the center of this tradition lies the I Ching, or Book of Changes. Unlike many divinatory systems that seek specific predictions, the I Ching focuses on transformation. It is based on the idea that reality is in constant flux, governed by the interplay of opposing forces. Yin and Yang, divination here is not about asking what will happen. It is about asking what is the nature of the situation and how is it changing. The process typically involves casting coins or yellow stalks to generate hexagrams, 6-line symbols composed of broken in bracket yin and unbroken in bracket yang lines. Each hexagram corresponds to a set of interpretations, offering insight into the dynamics at play. What makes this system remarkable? Is it philosophical depth? It does not provide a clear answer. It provides perspectives. A reading might suggest caution, patience, adaptability, or decisive action, not because the future is fixed, but because the present contains patterns that, if understood, can guide behavior. This reflects a fundamentally different relationship with fate. In the Chinese tradition, fate is not an external force imposed upon individuals. It is a pattern emerging from the interaction of forces, and by aligning with these forces, one can influence outcomes. Divination becomes less about prediction and more about alignment. The authority of the diviner. Across these cultures, one constant remains: the figure of the diviner holds immense influence. Whether a Norse seer, a Chinese scholar, a tribal shaman, the interpreter of signs became a gatekeeper of knowledge. This creates a paradox. Divination is often presented as accessing objective truth, message from gods, pattern of universe, voice of spirits, but interpretation is always subjective. Symbols don't speak on their own. They require translation. And that translation is shaped by culture, belief, bias, and power structures. This means that divination is not just a tool for understanding the world. It is also a tool for shaping it. Leaders might consult diviners before war. Communities might follow guidance based on readings. Entire decisions could hinge on interpretations, or entire decision could hinge on interpretation. In this sense, divination became political, and its authority becomes both sacred and fragile. While divination persists despite the rise of science and rationalism, divination has never disappeared. It has evolved. From tarot cards to astrology, from numerology to modern spiritual practices, the desire to access hidden knowledge remains strong. Why? Because uncertainty remains. No matter how advanced our understanding becomes, the future is still unknown. Human decisions still carry risk. Life still presents moments where logic alone feels insufficient. Divination fills that gap not necessarily by providing correct answers, but by offering frameworks for reflection. It allows individuals to externalize internal conflicts, to ask questions they might not otherwise articulate, to see patterns they might otherwise ignore. In this sense, divination may be less about predicting the future and more about understanding the present. As we have seen, divination is more than ancient ritual. It is a reflection of humanity's enduring quest to understand the unknown. From the fate-bound runes of Norse tradition to the ever-changing wisdom of ancient China, these systems reveal how cultures across time have searched for meaning, guidance, and control in an uncertain world. Whether you see divination as a spiritual insight or symbolic reflection, its influence is undeniable. I say its influence is undeniable. If this journey sparked your curiosity, there is always more to explore. Thank you for watching and for stepping with us into the mysteries of the unseen. See you